Hey guys, what's up? Queenie here. Welcome back to my channel, and obviously today's video is going to be all about how I make a full lace closure wig in the quickest and easiest way possible. So if you're interested in finding out how I created this wig, stay tuned and let's get started. Alright, so first things first, we're going to start off with bleaching the knots on the closure so we can have a very natural looking scalp on our wig. And so I'm going to take a plastic bowl, make sure it's plastic, and then I'm going to scoop a little bit of bleach powder into the bowl, and then I'm just going to eyeball the developer that I'm pouring in, and I'm using 30 volume developer, and I'm just going to slowly pour it in and kind of get it to the consistency of toothpaste. You can obviously pour it in slower than I did so you can figure out what works for you, but make sure it's not too runny so it doesn't leak through the lace and get to the hair. So now that my bleaching paste is ready, I'm gonna take a plastic knife, again make sure it's plastic and not metal or anything like that, and I'm gonna spread that along my lace closure. And make sure you're very generous with the bleach because you don't want it to, if you don't have enough, then you're gonna have to start scraping it and pushing it and spreading it too aggressively, and that might make the bleach leak into the lace and get onto the actual hair, and you don't want this to bleach your roots, you just want it to bleach the knots. I try my best to make sure I spread it on as evenly as possible and cover every single knot on that closure, including the very front hairs. And then after this, I just leave it for about 25 to 30 minutes, let it sit and actually process, and then I go ahead and I take it to the bathroom to rinse off the bleach. Okay, so first things first, I'm just going to take some warm water and slowly wash off the bleach before going in with any sort of soap. I make sure all the bleach comes off so I'm not touching it and getting it everywhere. So I'm going to take this Isoplus, I think it's Isoplus, I don't know, this shampoo, and it's a neutralizing shampoo to stop the bleaching process and really make sure it's done bleaching and it's not going to continue afterwards. So just to kind of dead all the chemicals that are happening, I don't know, science. So I just wash it a few times and make sure it's all gone, and make sure the soap is running clear. If it's running pink, that means there's still some sort of residue. And then afterwards, I'm taking the Shimmer Lights purple shampoo, and this is just going to get rid of any brassiness or any orange tones that the bleach may have caused and really neutralize that and make it look clear or blonde or really light, like how we want it to. Alright, so now that the closure is bleached, we can see that it looks a lot more natural and we don't see those big black dots making it look super fake. So it's going to blend nicely into your wig cap and make it look a lot more natural than it would have if we didn't bleach it. So now I'm just going to take it and put it on top of my wig cap that we're going to be sewing onto. Ignore my really creepy looking styrofoam head. Don't ask me why it has makeup on it. I don't know. So I'm just going to take a pin and pin the front part so it's nice and flat. And I'm also going to do the same thing in the back. If this is your first time, I would recommend pinning each corner so you don't kind of get confused and start sewing out of order. You want to make sure it's flat in every single part, but because I've done this a few times, I'm just going to hold it down nice and tight and start sewing along the perimeter. This is just a basic stitch that I'm doing, nothing special. You sew it regularly as you would sew anything else. And yeah, I'm just going to go around the closure and make sure that I'm sewing very slowly because we do not want it to be lumpy or uneven. Make sure you're holding it properly or pinning every single corner so it doesn't move around and shift and you end up with like a wonky closure. So take your time, sew, and make sure it's nice and flat and tight. Alright, so as you can see, I finished sewing my closure and every single part is stitched, it's tight and it's smooth. So now I'm going to move on to the rest of the wig and actually attaching the wefts onto the cap. Alright, so for this wig, because we want it to be very fast and easy, we're going to be using the glue gun method, and it's exactly what it sounds like. I'm just going to glue gun the wefts onto the wig cap, and yes, this is a thing. It's very easy to do and it's actually kind of fun. So I prefer this than using actual hair glue just because it's a lot faster and it's less messy, and it's obviously faster than sewing unless you're a speed sewer, which I'm not. So this is what we're gonna do. So as you can see, I just make a line with my glue gun. It's very simple, and then I take my weft a few seconds later and I stick it onto there and press it into the glue to make sure it's nice and secure, and I just do this along the wig cap until there is no more left. It's that simple. So I just glue it on and then I cut the ends of the wefts so then I can go back to the other side and start over basically. Alright, so when I get to the top of this wig, I like to space out the wefts a lot more than I was before because I don't want it to be too thick and chunky at the top of my wig. We do have a full closure right there that will cover anything that is, you know, showing. So we don't want to put too much hair up there because there already is a full closure right there. So I just kind of space it out and I put a few wefts right there, and now I'm just closing off the wig with the very last piece and making sure it's as close to the closure as possible so we don't see a gap right there when we part our hairline. So, and that's that. That is it for this wig. I hope that was simple. You literally just glue the wefts on and call it a day. Alright, so now it's time to cut off that little extra piece of cap that we need to remove from under the closure so that we can put our skin color wig cap underneath to make it look like our scalp. So I'm just cutting that little piece off around the closure and making sure I'm not cutting the parts that I've sewn. And as you can see, the inside of my cap, those are little styrofoam pieces, but they will slowly wear off. If you want, you can kind of put a barrier between your styrofoam wig head and the cap, but honestly, I don't really care. I kind of just brush it off afterwards and it kind of flattens out and disappears later. So that's that. So I'm going to cut that off and we're going to move on with actually putting the wig on our head. Alright, so I literally just threw this wig on my head. I do have a wig cap underneath that I'll show you in a second, but I'm going to cut off the perimeter of the lace right there that's sticking out, and obviously I couldn't get all of it, so I'm going to take it off and just cut off the lace completely. Some people do choose to leave a little bit, but I don't see the point, especially for a closure, so I'm just going to cut it all off and put it right back on my head. And as you can see, I'm wearing like a skin color wig cap underneath. Alright, so now I'm going to start the plucking process, and I'm going to pluck my part first just because that is the most important right now. And I'm just going to take tweezers and pluck right there to make it look more natural, because if you do part your natural hair, obviously the line is a little bit thicker than what it was. So I'm just going to pluck it till I feel like it looks okay, and then I'm going to move on to the front part of the hair because that also is very dense. So I'm going to pull out some hairs so I can start tweezing the hairline and making it look more natural in the front. Now that I have a layer of hair out, I'm just going to take my tweezers again and start plucking those pieces to really thin it out and make it look more natural. And these are going to eventually be my baby hairs. Not all of it, but it's starting that kind of gradual hairline look. And then I just push them back and I start plucking the whole closure as a whole so I can really thin out the front. And now I'm going to go ahead and actually create my baby hairs now that I feel like I do have a little bit of a gradual hairline going on. I'm going to take eyebrow razor and just start cutting those little hairs, and I'm going to cut them very short because baby hairs are supposed to be short and not long. So when I feel like they're short enough, I'm just going to go ahead and actually attach the wig to my head. So I'm going to use the Got2b freeze spray, and I'm going to put that on my forehead. I do usually like 2 or 3 layers, and then I'll take a blow dryer and dry it for literally like 10 seconds. And then when I feel that it's a little bit sticky, I'll go ahead and apply my lace wig on top and then push it down and hold it for a second to make sure it really sticks. Once that's good to go, I go ahead and I actually style my edges, and we are almost done. So I take my edge brush, dip it into the Eco Styler, and I just kind of style my edges the way I would my real hair. Nothing special. I don't put too much baby hairs out. If you like more, you can go ahead and do that, but I'm just going to do something simple, and I'm just going to brush them in a way that I feel like looks most natural, and that's about that. Alright, so now that my edges are done, I'm just going to take a spray bottle and spray through my closure hairs and just remove all the hair that I just tweezed out of it and kind of retame that area, because it gets frizzy after tweezing so much. And then lastly, I'm gonna take some mousse and I'm gonna put that at the root of my closure and kind of just move the hairs out of my face to make it look more natural and to make it look, I don't know, just smooth right there. I don't know why I like this look so much, but this is just a thing that I do to make it look really smooth at the top of my head and out of my face, so I can kind of show off my baby hairs. And then I just take a blow dryer and I dry the mousse down, and that is literally it. So now my hair looks super natural and soft and shiny, and my edges are here to show. And then finally, I'm just gonna take my concealer and put that along my part just to make it look more like my actual scalp and to kind of make it stand out a bit more, just because it can sometimes be camouflaged behind all that hair. So after I do that, that is it for this hair and that is it for this wig install. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this and that you can see that it can be this simple. This Beauty Forever hair is absolutely amazing. It's soft. The curl definition is perfect. My closure was so easy to work with. The lace looks perfect. It's not too dark, not too light. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you enjoyed this process, and make sure to check the description box for all the details. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Comment down below, subscribe, thumbs up, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.